Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's the end of another month, which is crazy, so it's time to do what I read in March, and I'm trying a new area, so I'm trying to make a nice area to film videos in, so let me know what you think, but we'll get straight in. Because I read 4 books this month, managed to squeeze 4 in because one of them was quite long and I was worried I was only going to get 2 read, so very happy that I've read 4. So the first book is Angels by Marian Keyes. So this is part of the Walsh family books. So this is the 3rd in the series. So the first 2 are Watermelon and Rachel's Holiday, and this one was about Maggie Walsh, so another one of the sisters, and generally they're just sort of like about different sisters with like issues or problems in their lives, and this one was about Maggie, who was going through a rough time in her marriage and goes away from Ireland and goes to LA to stay with one of her friends who is trying to be a screenwriter and get loads of screenplays made into films. So she goes over there and basically meets all these new people and has a life in LA for a little bit. That's sort of the plot line. I love Marian's writing. I really enjoy how much detail she puts in, which is why these are quite thick, just for like a rom-com type book, like a romance book. There's quite a lot of detail, which I like. So it introduces like different characters, does a lot of backstory. But this one didn't have the same sort of feel as the first 2. Rachel's Holiday is still my favourite in the series, and Watermelon was really good. This one was good, but I rated it 3 stars. 1, because I could see how this was going to end. Like, it was very clear how this was going to end. And 2, because in the middle it sort of dived off a little bit. The plot sort of just went a bit flat for a bit. Not much happened. So I do think some of this could have been left out of the book or made a little bit shorter, because it was nearly 500 pages and it did feel a little bit like a slog towards the end. But nevertheless, I will be reading the whole series because I really enjoy it, and they've made it into a TV series, which I'm really looking forward to watching. So there's not much I can say about this one, even though the book's quite thick, because it was just like a genuine like romance story, a woman going through like an issue with her marriage and going to friends for support, and then sort of thinking she might like women as well in there, but then decides she doesn't or whatever. So there's like experimental stuff. So there's not a lot I can say really without spoiling the plot. But that was my first read of the month, and it actually took about 3 weeks to read, which was why I was worried I wasn't going to fit many books in this month. So yeah, that's the first read. The second read of March, Layla by Colleen Hoover. So this one, I wasn't sure what to expect, I'll be honest. I've never read a Colleen Hoover book, and I got given a few Colleen Hoover books from somebody because they'd obviously finished with them, and I said I was interested in them. I really did not expect this to be what it was. I thought this was going to be a psychological thriller or like a mystery book. It wasn't that. I don't even know what you call this sort of genre of book, but it's basically about a man called Leeds who meets Layla at Layla's sister's wedding. They get to sort of know each other, and it starts off very fast paced. Like they've met each other, they've then gone back to like the hotel room together, and things develop. And basically Layla then has an injury happen to her at the very start of the book, and it sort of goes on from she's got this like severe memory problem from this injury, and he's trying to bring her personality back. So they go back to the hotel that they met in, which is now no longer a hotel. You can sort of just rent it out for so many weeks or whatever. So that's kind of the main plot, but then it gets weird. Like, it starts off all right and then it gets very weird. I don't know whether I can even say what happens, because again, it may spoil the book. So I am going to put spoiler here in case you don't want to know, just because I feel like I need to talk about it because of how weird it was. Basically, in the home that they're now staying in, he thinks it's haunted, so he starts putting cameras up in the house and starts going on these online pages about ghosts and how to communicate with ghosts, and it gets to the point where he fancies this ghost. Like, this ghost can take over Layla's body, and then he gets to know the ghost through Layla's body and starts falling in love with this ghost because Layla's not the person she used to be. I think that's what I'm going to say. It's very strange. It actually made me feel slightly uncomfortable in places. I know it's not meant to be realistic, but it was yeah, nothing like I've ever read before. I gave it 3 stars just because it freaked me out, and I did think it was ridiculous. Storyline was absolutely ridiculous in places, and I also saw the twist at the end. Like, I could see what the twist was going to end up being, and I hate that. I hate it when it's so obvious what's going to happen, because it's just not as good then. Like, I was reading it thinking, I hope it's not going to be what I think it was, and it was obvious. So yeah, 3 stars from me. And I had to go and looked at people's TikToks and reviews, and a lot of people said the same. I think they were kind of sort of like, what on earth was this? So yeah, a bit of a weird one, but kind of glad I read it because I'm wanting to read different authors that I wouldn't normally read, so going out of my usual sort of genre. So that was the second book of March. The third book was a Kindle book, and you can barely call it a book. It was literally about 76 pages long, and it was Freida McFadden, Death Row. So this is part of, I think it's like a series of like prison series, but different authors have wrote like different novellas. So I fitted this in just because it was a short book, and I wanted to try and fit as many books in for the month, and I enjoyed this one. It was basically about a woman on death row who was basically saying she was innocent, and it did a lot of flashbacks of how she'd met her husband. So basically she was in prison for the murder of her husband, but she said she didn't kill him, and it did flashbacks of how they met, and then what happened on the night she supposedly killed him. And then at the end, it didn't really make sense at the end, and a lot of people put this on reviews, and I think it's because it was such a short story that it kind of like at the end it didn't make sense. It kind of left you thinking, was that true or was it not true? Did she kill him? Did she not? I enjoyed it. Like, I did enjoy it, but I do think the end was rushed, and I feel like it could have had such a good ending. It kind of didn't really tie up anything, and it could have been a little bit longer. Like, it could have gone to probably like 100 pages, and then it would have been the perfect length to wrap up everything from the story of did she, didn't she, because it had such potential, and I felt, yeah, the ending just wasn't quite there, and it's such a shame because it was, yeah, it had such potential. So that was the third one. Not a lot I can say about it because it was so short. The fourth and final read of the month was by an author that I've never heard of and never read, but was on Kindle Unlimited or Prime Reading, one of them, and it's The Psychopath Next Door by Mark Edwards. I loved this book. Loved this book. Couldn't put it down, and I saw so many people recommending this book that I was like, this is the time to read it, because I was reading it off because on Kindle some of them can be questionable, but this was amazing. It didn't disappoint. So this is obviously about a psychopath living next door, and it starts off by basically this woman is outside a shop and she starts threatening these kids because they said something to her that wasn't very nice, and that's sort of like the intro to the book about who's this woman and what she's gonna end up doing. And you get to know that she's from Australia. She's emigrated to the UK recently. She's got a background, but no one can find out anything about her because she's changed her name, and it goes into so much detail. And then she befriends the younger daughter who lives next door, who is 12, and sort of takes her under her wing and says, we're going to do some pranks on people. And she's got a hit list basically, so she's going through her hit list of why these people need to die basically, and she takes Rose, the girl, under her wing and thinks that she's also a psychopath, and trying to get her to sort of get to the point of being a psychopath is the storyline. And then you've also got another sort of storyline of the 2 boys across the street who bullied Rose at the beginning of the book. One of them ends up having an accident and ends up in a coma for a long time, and then it's kind of like, well, has she done it? Has someone else done it? So there's that in there, and then there's all the parents and their sort of storylines. It's so good. There's so much to sort of pack in this book. It's not a particularly long book, but it's the way it's written I really, really liked. It sort of flashes, it flips back, so each chapter is a different character. So you might have Fiona, who is like the psycho. You might have the dad in the book, and then it's also the Emma, the mum, and it goes through sort of their sort of experiences and points of view. So the dad like runs a record shop and is very interested in like records, and goes to see like an elderly lady who has a record that he's interested in like selling or buying from her, and then she ends up dying. So there's lots of things that go on, but I really enjoyed this, and I really want to read another book by Mark Edwards, definitely. And then it sort of leaves it hanging open for another one in this series. But when I've looked again at reviews and stuff, people have said that one of the characters that was in prison in this story is from a previous book. So I'm gonna have to find that, because I'm really intrigued in reading more from Mark. So they were my reads of March. I feel like this was a bit of a shorter video, but I haven't had as much to talk about with these books, just because there's not as many things. Like in a romance book you can't really say much, and then the others I don't want to spoil the entire storyline. But yeah, quite a good month for reading, a bit different, a bit more up and down books. So I've not loved every single book, but that's what happens sometimes. But different books, I feel like I've got a bit of a variety going on. So yeah, please let me know if you've got any book recommendations. Let me know if you've read any of these authors or any of these books. I'd be really interested in hearing your opinions on them. And I will catch you for the next one for what I read in April. See you soon.